Hey, have you ever wondered what happens after your brain and body just turn off? When this amalgamation of experiences that we call life ends? Well, if you're watching this video right now, chances are that you have. So today I'll be ranking all of the afterlife theories in a tier list from worst to best. And I'll also be taking this thing off. There will be reincarnations, hell and heaven, simulation, empty voids forever and ever. It will be a good time in this video, okay? Stay to the end, trust me. Simulation. Yeah, just imagine this. You lived a long, happy, fulfilling life, filled with joy and accomplishments. You've built a family and passed on the morals that you found the most sacred. And as you are in your deathbed, holding the hand of your loved one, telling her of how much you loved every minute that you spent with her, asking her to tell your children that daddy is going to be on the other side, watching over them. The moment you close your eyes and you hear the medical machines echoing with that sound of flatline in the background, you wake up with a VR headset on your head. How would you react to that? Or worse, maybe as you die, your file just gets deleted and all your memories get deleted too. Maybe I'm just the only consciousness here in this world and all the other consciousness are just simulated. Maybe I'm the simulated consciousness. Now you might be thinking that this is very hard to be actually the case. We can't be living inside of a giant computer. But how can you say that? How can you say with absolute certainty that we don't live in a simulation? That after we die, we just take some VR headsets off our heads or get thrown into the trash bin of a computer. I mean, if you truly start thinking about it, it's almost certain that we are living inside of a simulation. Because imagine this, there is a first real world that can simulate worlds. Those worlds then would be able to simulate other worlds. And those worlds would be able to simulate other worlds. And the simulation stream would keep on going. So our reality could be in any one of those worlds that is inside the endless stream of simulated worlds, meaning that we are almost certainly inside of a simulation. Why would we be the first ones? But actually, there is an argument that says that we only have a 50% chance of living in a simulation. Let's look at a world where simulations are possible. That would mean that the first civilization has the ability to simulate other worlds. Now those worlds would be able to, again, simulate other worlds, as I said. If they are simulated in a way to mimic the original world, then those simulations would be able to simulate other worlds, so on and so on. In today's age, for the best of our knowledge, we still aren't able to simulate actual, proper worlds. At least ones where they can be self-sufficient and work by themselves. So that means that we could be the last on the simulation ladder, meaning that we are yet to learn how to properly simulate worlds, but we will still be in a simulation, or we are the main civilization, the one that will be the first to set that endless stream of civilizations. So we pass from being almost certainly in a simulation, because there is an infinite amount of those, to only a 50% chance of when we die, we don't actually die and just wake up on a futuristic arcade gaming space and we take some VR headsets on. Or we get thrown into the trash bin, I don't know. Well, simulation goes to... Oh, I still don't have a tier list. Yeah, I'm not going to use the normal tier list like a normal YouTuber. You think I'm normal? I'm not normal. So I am going to build my own tier list, as it should. It's going to be all in for it. If I really want it, I guess. Could be cool. I don't want it, but okay. And please, no, you already know what is going down there. Literally down there. Anyway, simulation theory goes to could be cool. And I really think that it could be cool. Would that mean that the life that I am living right now is effectively worthless? I'm doing things for absolutely nothing? Sure, but also that means that on the other side, I could be a cool guy. I could be living in a world that is better than this one. I could be living in a world where it's worse and it's actually like the Matrix, but it could be cool. You get the point? It could be cool. Unless we get thrown into the trash bin and we don't really exist. But I'm thinking more of the headset version, okay? Yeah, could be cool. You become a ghost. Ooh, spirits, poltergeists, haunted houses, spooky scary skeleton. Could they be real? I don't know. There are a lot of stories telling they're real, a lot of weird things that happened to me and to some friends of mine. Maybe I'll do a video on it. Who knows? But anyway, that's besides the point. Imagine that when you die, you just become a wandering spirit without actual goals, but to turn on lights randomly and make weird sounds and laugh and stuff. I know, it could be cool. Scaring people could be funny. But for how much time would it be funny? For a year maybe it would be cool. But what about 100 years, 1,000 years, a million? Forever, until the end of the literal universe? I don't know if I'd want that. Mainly if, as a ghost, I still have this state of consciousness. Maybe it's another way of seeing reality, but if I perceive reality the same way as I perceive right now, but in ghost form, then that would mean that I would be stuck there as a spirit for infinity. And infinity is not good in my state of mind. My consciousness, my state of consciousness does not comprehend infinity very well, like at all. So it's an easy, please no, Valhalla. And this stream of thought also goes to Valhalla as well. Sure, battling and f***ing and eating with your homies must be really cool. I mean, not f*** with your homies, but you understood it. Anyway, it might seem cool in paper. And maybe it is if after every day my memories are eradicated and I live a new day forever. But if I'm fully conscious of what is happening, I think that after like 1,000 of those experiences, it would get dull, like really dull. After an eternity of time, making the same thing every day, battling and f***ing and eating, those experiences would just become a blob of stuff in the back of my mind as each day melts into one another. I don't think it would be fun anymore. This is also a please note here. Nothing. And I mean it. What if when you die, there's just nothing? And I'm not talking about everything being black and you are floating around in a big pile of darkness and void. No, I mean that you just stop existing. It's not like you experience nothing. There just isn't a thing. Not even senses anymore to even experience what nothing is. There just isn't a thing. When a person dies, regardless of religion or beliefs, everyone agrees that the body of that person starts being just a lump of meat. A corpse unable to execute body functions, it being digestion, pumping blood, or seeing, hearing, thinking. Someone who dies can't do those things anymore, right? It just rots away. That's why we get rid of dead bodies. So a person who dies won't be able to see anymore, to hear, to feel, to taste, to touch. A person who dies is not able to effectively perceive the world around them. At least not in the way that we know the world to be, full of color and sound and heat. A dead person cannot feel any of that because her body is dead. Her body is unable to process the outside information. So maybe when a person dies, it simply stops experiencing the world, the outside world. If consciousness is created by the brain too, and if you can't experience reality, if there is nothing to experience, then nothing is what happens after you die. And hey, I'm not saying that when you die, you experience nothing. Because to experience something, at least for the best of our knowledge, you need to process information. You need your brain. And if there is no brain, because it's dead, then you can't experience. You're not experiencing nothing. There simply is a lack of being able to experience reality, leading to, effectively, nothing. Literally nothing. Answer this question for me. What is your favorite memory from when you were not born? From when you were just a vague soul in the universe? You don't have one, do you? Because guess what? You didn't have a brain, you didn't have feelings, you didn't have a way of perceiving reality. So maybe that is exactly what happens after you die. Just a complete state of non-existence. No memories, no feelings, and no reality. Another example of this is when you go under anesthesia. I broke my hand doing boxing. Here's a picture of that. Yes, I know. Very strong guy, very sexy, very creative, and super humble too. Anyway, I had to get surgery on my hand and put some metal spikes inside of my hand to put it right. And guess what? I had to go under general anesthesia, meaning that I was completely senseless for a couple of minutes. And let me tell you something. Besides me telling the doctor that my hand was hurting as he was injecting the anesthesia, and waking up in the nursing room with the nurses laughing because I said something stupid and I sadly don't remember, the in-between those moments are completely lost. I don't remember a single thing. I was in a state of not feeling stuff. My nervous system was thoroughly shut down and I had no ability to experience reality. And maybe something similar to that happens when you die, just nothing, a complete state of non-existence. And I'ma place it in the all in for it tier, the best tier of them all. What the fuck up? How can I place it in the all in for it tier? What you mean not experiencing stuff, not being alive, not being real is something that you find cool? Calm down, little one. I'ma explain it to you. It makes sense. We humans are animals, right? Right. And we come up with stuff through evolution to help us, well, survive this reality, because life is that, surviving. And we come up with stuff such as, that feels good, I like cooked meat. Or, that feels bad, please don't slap my arm. We on the same page until now? Okay? Okay. Now, using our animal brain, a brain that the only reality that it knows is to be and to feel, you might think that to not feel is something bad, something that your body would not want, or that your brain would not want, because to not feel, that would mean that I would be dead. And being dead is the literal thing that life tries to escape. Life tries to be alive, okay? It's the ultimate point of life. But the thing is, good and bad, like I talked more deeply in this video, are just things that we, well, came up with. They're words. Things are not inherently good and inherently bad. Things are things, and then we rank them by being good or bad. And we use our morality systems to tell if stuff is good or bad as a background. But we do it while existing and while experiencing our reality. If when I die, in this case, I can't experience a thing anymore, reality just doesn't exist anymore for me, then I can't evaluate if not existing or if nothing is good or bad, because my brain isn't working. My animal brain that is used to understand reality and rank reality isn't working anymore. My brain just can't understand the morality and rank nothing, because it would just be nothing. A feelingless, senseless reality, if I can even call nothingness a reality. And since I passed an infinite time like that before I was born, I don't think that it would be bad to pass an infinite amount of time like that when I die, because it wouldn't be bad nor good. It would just be nothing. I wouldn't be able to think if it is bad or good, because I wouldn't be able to think. Period. Is death bad for someone who is alive? Sure, people miss people and they have grief. But for the one who died, for the person who's dead, again, maybe it's not bad, but it's also not good. It just is nothing. Interesting thought experiment. I like this one. And yes, it's still on the all in for it tier. Okay? That's what I have to say. Eternal darkness. But this one is what people usually think that we are talking about when we talk about nothingness. But this isn't nothingness. Eternal darkness would be like you die and your state of mind, your consciousness, just encounters itself in an empty void of darkness, and everything is black and you're there for the rest of time. Just an endless void of nothingness and darkness where your consciousness can forever dwell. Again, just like ghosts and just like Valhalla. And for me, at least, it is terrifying. That is terrifying, because I'm a person that always needs to be doing something. And the thought that I will be just there, wandering around in an empty, dark place, as my consciousness still thrives and wants to experience something, but it just can't, is absolutely terrifying. And it's a, please note here, parallel universe. Well, this one also kinda goes to infinity, but it's in a different manner. In this case, basically when I die, what I know my consciousness is simply would get placed in another version of me that exists in a multiverse. So I would never really die. My consciousness would just get thrown around for infinity. Very sci-fi, I must say. This could happen because in the quantum world, it is believed that particles encounter themselves in a state of superposition. It's like if an arrow was pointing up and down at the same time. And when I experience that arrow, one of those sides collapses into my reality, meaning that it would go up. But that would also mean that in another place, maybe in another reality, the arrow would collapse into down. And it would create another parallel universe. And as it seems, that would happen to, for example, every decision that we make. If I say no to something, maybe there is a world where I say yes. And there would be an infinite amount of those, because each person also has decisions, and they would say no to a thing, but there is also a yes to that thing on another universe. I don't know. But either way, every time we died, our perception of reality just would get transported into one of those other worlds. This might seem like it sucks, but the thing is, I don't remember being in any other world besides this one. So if when we die we just get transported into other worlds, but we don't really remember, maybe it's not that bad. Because yes, we would be switching infinitely, which as I said is something that I don't deal well with, but since I don't remember previous lives, I think it would be okay because it's a brand new start and I'm not aware that that is happening. I don't remember and I have absolutely no recollection of past lives. So I won't be stuck in infinity in a way that it messes up with me. I'm a place here in the I don't want it but okay tier. Now, the next one, reincarnation, for me has a similar path of thought as the parallel universe, but it wins over for two reasons. But let's firstly try to understand it. Usually reincarnation is linked to Buddhism and karma and stuff. So if we do good deeds in life, we will have a good reincarnation, or at least one that is needed for us to finally ascend. And if we do bad deeds, we will have a bad reincarnation, and we will reincarnate as, I don't know, a snail, and no one likes snails, besides these big boys. These are cool, but these ones, no, fuck them. Now, back to what I just said. If I don't remember stuff when I get reincarnated, this would go to the same tier as the parallel universe. If I don't remember, it's all good, and I'm experiencing many other perceptions of reality, you know, as a fly, as a dog, as a snake. It could be cool. I don't want it, but it could be okay. But in this case, I like it better because one, I like its explanation for its possibility better, at least the reincarnation part, and two, in this case, we have a ultimate goal, which is, if we're following Buddhism, nirvana. Firstly, why do I think that reincarnation has a good explanation? We are conscious, right? We know that we exist and we feel things. But if we're conscious, then that means that consciousness exists. If it exists, it can't just disappear. I mean, it's the first law of thermodynamics. Energy never gets destroyed nor created, it always gets transformed. Energy leaves the sun, it feeds the plants feed the animals feed us, and we generate heat into the universe. In this closed stream of energy, nothing was created nor destroyed, it just transformed and passed on as different forms of energy, but the energy was still there. So what if consciousness is just like that? Well, if it is, then reincarnation could be plausible. Our consciousness would need to yet again occupy something. It being a human, an animal, a rock, a plant, I don't know, but it would need to get transported into something so it doesn't get destroyed. Now, of course, I'm kind of discarding the karma part, but point is, I like the explanation for the reincarnation in a logical way. It kind of makes sense. Secondly, I also like the reincarnation better, for example if compared to the parallel universes, because we have a main objective with all of those countless reincarnations, which is to reach nirvana. We would reincarnate a countless amount of times until we understood that we would need to leave our physical bodies, leave our egos, so we can reach an infinite and peaceful state of existence that transcends what we consider real and some hippie shit. I think it could be cool. We have that thing of reincarnating and not remembering past lives, which I like. It also has a somewhat logical explanation for its existence, but also we would have an ultimate goal that would be becoming like one with the universe, with no worries and no egos and just peace. Which honestly doesn't sound all that bad, because well, this next one, the just be the universe itself that doesn't exist, is very similar to what we would consider in nirvana, depending on the culture of who follows that shit. Anyway, what if death doesn't really exist? Again, talking about good and bad, those are things that we created to coexist in this world and make logic of stuff and live in a society. But what if death and life is something like that too? I mean, we are alive and then we die, right? Sure. That's our reality, and it's the only thing that we are 100% sure that it will happen to us. I am here right now, you are there on the other side of the cell phone watching this video, but in a few years, we will be dead. We will die, our bodies won't be able to complete their functions anymore. Simple as that. But what if we are just part of this big whole? Universe is made up of cycles, as I said in the reincarnation bit, and usually stuff doesn't really come out of nowhere, right? It just can't pop into existence, at least in a meaningful way. So what if we are just the universe itself in the end? It doesn't matter if you are alive or dead, in the end we are all just particles floating around, and consciousness is a state of reality that happens in the blink of an eye. And maybe when we die, we don't just go back into being the universe, we are already the universe itself, just in a different state of existence. But when we die, we simply reach a point where to exist, to feel, to be a human and to sense the world is not required anymore. I feel like a full-on hippie, but I'm all in for it. Dear. Infinite cycle. And what do I mean by that? Well, time itself maybe is just something weird, and it has a weird relation with consciousness, in a way that when we die, we don't lose our consciousness, we don't become nothing, we don't go to hell, I don't know, when we die, we come back into being a baby again, and that would happen forever and ever. I mean, it would happen in that closed loop, not forever, just in that closed loop of our lives. We will never experience anything but the thing that happened in our lives, literally to the breath. The moment we die, we are born again as ourselves to relive our lives, because that's how time and consciousness works. Does that sound terrifying? Yes. Would I want it? No. But again, if when I die, just like I said in the reincarnation and the parallel universes bit, we lose all our memories, maybe it's not that bad, because it's like a brand new life. I don't remember my past life, my similar past life. It's just a new life again, my life again. So if you have a pretty good life, you will live that life forever and ever without really knowing that you're doing it. So it wouldn't be that bad because you're unaware of the position that you find yourself in. And I would put it in the I don't want it but okay. However, let's say that from now on, from this moment onwards, your life is absolutely terrible. Everything goes wrong with you. You lose all your limbs, you get cancer, you start listening to Justin Bieber, I don't know. Everything goes wrong. And that's it for the rest of your life. And also that's it for the rest of times, because you will be living that shit again and again and again. Or maybe, let's imagine that you're just a baby that died 20 minutes after being born. You would effectively get spawn killed for the rest of times. That doesn't sound really that cool to me. Even if I didn't have the knowledge that that would happen to me forever and ever, even if that kid didn't have the knowledge that that would be his existence, these two consciousnesses and all the other consciousnesses of the people who suffered would be trapped on the bodies of suffering people forever. And that doesn't sound really cool. If you have an amazing life, sure, great. But if you have a bad life, that's it, forever. So I'm placing it in the please note here, just to make sure. Now, for the last one, and the most famous one, to be honest, at least I think it is. Hell and heaven, in my opinion, might be one of the worst theories for the afterlife, at least for me, unless I'm able to do some slight changes on the whole theory. Let's start. Firstly, I find the existence of hell itself just logically stupid. If we take into account the God of Christianity, or at least the God that overall people believe in, we can say that God is all-good, all-powerful, all-knowing, and, more specifically for this speech, all-forgiving. He forgives all from all sins, right? So how can hell exist? Hell is there to make people suffer forever, for them to be tortured and burnt and I don't know. But that would mean that God doesn't forgive all sins, nor all people. Or is hell just there to make people shit their pants like the Sackman story? Point is, I don't think that hell would exist if we take into account that God. But if it exists, then it's of course a please no all the way, like forever suffering with lava and fire and torturing and probably Justin Bieber songs on the background. Like, I'd rather reincarnate as a snail. So please no, okay? Thanks. But thankfully we have heaven to balance things out, no? I just need to be a good guy and it's all good, I'll be forever on heaven and it will be all great. I don't think that heaven is as good as people say, truly. At least not in the way that is usually described. Heaven is a place that you are there, the person. You go there, you, the being, pass in a giant gate and you go to heaven and you are there to forever sing with your loved ones and be there with God and be one with God and be all good and it's all great and it's all amazing and maybe there's McDonald's there for you to satisfy your fat needs, I don't know. It's an infinite amount of pleasure forever and ever, it's all good, it's all great. But the thing is, what messes with me is that you are there. Your conscious mind, your state of being is there for eternity. And as I said, again, forever doesn't stick well with me, at least not in this state of mind that doesn't really understand infinity and stuff that doesn't end. Like, infinity is very f***ing big. So if we look at heaven this way, an endless amount of pleasure, but it's me, the person that's there for infinity, then it's a please no. No way I'm gonna be singing there forever. But if I make some tweaks, and heaven is actually not a place, but something that we are yet to understand. That when we die, we don't go to heaven, we don't pass the gates to go to heaven. We as ourselves don't go to heaven, but we transcend into a state of existence that is not what we have now, that we don't understand. Then heaven could be great. Also, if I make the tweak that hell doesn't really exist because God forgives all and it's a very good guy, then heaven and hell could transform itself into something great, into something like nirvana, the point of nirvana, or I would be one with the universe. I would be in a state of mind that I don't really get now. But as it seems, hell and heaven are not usually portrayed like that. They are not under these circumstances. So I'm placing it in the please no tier. Again, believe in what you want to believe. Maybe it exists. I don't know. I don't think that it would be great. Either of the options. Hell is arguably worse than heaven, but I think that both of them are not the greatest things that you want for the rest of your time. If you experience time and if you are the way you are on both of those situations. Well, that's it for today's video. Now you know what may await you when you die, and also why they could be good or bad, if good and bad actually exist. Well, either way, hope you liked it. Thanks for watching. Watch this tier list right here, where I talked about shower thoughts and deep questions and stuff. I'm also on top of a green screen because, yeah, guess what? I can. See you on the next one.